So you say you want to eat whatever you want. Perhaps you may even say whatever makes you happy. But can you just eat whatever you want, whatever makes you happy? And how long could you maintain that before you realize, oh shoot, I have to pay attention to what I'm eating, what my health condition is? This life has requirements for what we desire. And if we want happiness, maybe in our mind, we also have to consider happiness within the body, within the natural reality. In the same way you might say you want to be honest to other people, but are you honest to yourself, to your body, to reality? There's a lot of foods out there that might be modified, that might be changed basically in a lab or turned from different forms that are not necessarily found in nature, that have not always existed. And you have to question, is this based in reality? Artificial food coloring, preservatives, different foods, Twinkies. Is this even a food? Is that really a thing? How come it can last for over like 50 years? Is that really something you want to consume, or do you want to consume something fresh that lasts for only about a week? This is the type of question we have to ask ourselves, is do we really want preservatives? Because the longer the shelf life is, the shorter perhaps your own. And we have to question, can we just do whatever we want in life? Because then if we apply this as a principle to every aspect in our life, you can't just do whatever you want, whatever just makes you happy, because you have to consider the lives of others. And eventually, you have to realize that the lives of others will eventually spill into your own. That everything will eventually come back to you, the person who initially gave out the message. And you're a receiver just as everyone else is in the same reality. So you have to learn how to live with people. You can't tell other people how to live their own lives unless you're government. But even then, they don't have that authority to do so. That's just a belief that people think that they can do that. In reality, we all control ourselves, and therefore must practice that and help each other do so. This is why, you raise a child to think for themselves and make wise choices. But what if you don't choose them to make wise choices? They're going to do whatever is pleasurable, desirable to them, maybe not something that is actually necessary. Say you're going through pregnancy, you have certain cravings, and you say, okay, I'm going to admire these cravings, but do you ever ask the question, why do I have these cravings? Do you ever get to the root cause as to why those cravings are happening in the very first place? So clearly there's requirements there of the body. There's a whole reason why we call something nutrition. It means the word nourish. Similarly, the word food means nourishment, right? The word meat means nourish, me eat, right? These are not coincidences, and meat can be considered, animal flesh or even the flesh of a plant, right? The meat of a plant. Okay, so these are things that humanity has long dealt with. A sense of nourishment, right? And some people even say the word flourish when it comes to the gut, and people even say the gut is like the root to all disease. It's like 80% or more of the immune system, digests a lot of your food. This is very important, the gut nowadays. And people have to question, well, how do I get the gut intact? It has to do with bacteria, but meanwhile we're heating all the foods and there's no bacteria in the food and we're not consuming it fresh. So there's a lot of problems that people can pick up on if they just ask some simple questions. But instead, rather than asking questions, people want to make assumptions. People want to make statements as if they don't want to ask questions, as if they don't want to seek out knowledge. They want to remain in ignorance for their habits. And their habits become their conditions. And their conditions become so molded and so hardened until something actually happens. Have you ever had a family member who died of cancer or some disease and you're like, I don't know why. Maybe the doctor said this, but even then, I still don't know why that happened. And you might even say, I'm not a doctor. I assume he knows better. But does he really know better? Doctors don't learn any nutrition within their medical schooling. They don't learn any of the homeopathic remedies that have been used for thousands and thousands of years. They learn new modern allopathic medicine, which has only been around for about 100 years or so. I don't talk a lot about health on my channel because I talk a lot about freedom. But these two are essentially the same, because if you say you eat whatever you want, it sounds like a very free mind. But in order to have freedom, and I talk about this often, if people want freedom in the world, and freedom definitely affects their health in great ways that even medical practitioners and natural practitioners will just completely ignore the media's impact and statism. They don't even know what that is and how that affects people's minds. If people realize that freedom and health are essentially connected, then they would see that, yes, they should eat whatever makes them happy, but that doesn't mean they just eat whatever, because they have to be happy in all ways of their life. They have to be free in all ways of their life. Freedom, however, requires self-control. Because in order for you to say, I am free, I can do whatever I want, it means that you have sovereignty over yourself and your own choices. So you can choose what you want to do, but that choice comes with recognizing you have that choice. You don't have that choice when you say the doctor has to make that decision for me for my health. Oh, if I end up getting sick, well, I'll just go here, I'll do this, I'll do that. But do you realize how you would get sick? If you consume a certain food, do you realize how that may affect you? There's certain people you might go out to a restaurant with and they say, I can't have this, I can't have that. They seem a little picky, right? They feel like they can't eat certain foods because they know they shouldn't eat certain foods. Do you know what foods you should or should not eat? Now, I'm not saying you should make a list and be super restrictive and count all your calories and all this. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, do you know how your body reacts to certain foods? Because do you acknowledge that everybody's different in every aspect of life, whether it be in mind and body? And sure, we may all be human beings, and sure, we may have similar diseases, but we all have different bodies. We all have different environments that we live in, and therefore, you have to listen to your own body, and other people have to listen to their own body, despite how much similarity there may be. I might say, yeah, it's wrong to do this, it's wrong to murder someone, it's wrong to steal from someone. But you still, as an individual, have to evaluate your own life, not that to create an exception to that, but to realize there's also gray areas. Is it wrong to, gamble? Is it wrong to drink? Is it wrong to, what about all these vices, okay? So you have to be able to navigate this universe and recognize that there's things that apply universally, but there's also many more things that don't apply universally but apply individually. But because they apply individually to every individual, that applies universally. See, it's a double way here of, there's this polarity in nature, and you have to realize that there is this unity in nature. So there's all these different aspects that people need to understand. But that all comes down to reflection. How often do people sit down and really listen to their body? If somebody's sick, the last thing I'd want them to do is just consume, but actually start listening to what their body is saying, because their body's saying, man, I need help. There's something wrong here. And sleep will obviously help an individual as well a lot. And there's a lot of different studies, and people are still trying to figure out what happens during sleep and what happens during dreaming, because it's a powerful phenomenon, right? But you don't just sleep and dream whatever you want. Your dreams are picking up on your subconscious and your previous experiences. Everything's happening for certain reasons. Even if we want to say everything's random, there's different things that happen in this life, there's still reasons why everything happens. Okay, and so we can eat certain foods and expect certain reactions, but there's thousands of compounds in certain foods. You're going to be like, I don't know what's happening. There might be a reason why people are so confused as to why certain diseases are appearing. Perhaps it's because we have a huge food supply of so many different things, and not everybody's eating what they're meant to be eating ancestrally, or what their ancestors always ate, or even seasonally, right? People are consuming food that is exported from across the world, or food that has just been invented basically because it's been modified over the ages, even if they say, oh, I grew this in my backyard. So there's all these different components, but I'm not here to try to confuse you, because getting back down to principle is recognizing this very knowledge, as to say, are you aware of these things? Because a lot of what I just said, some people don't have any clue that it's even being mentioned as a possible reality. Like, wait, not all food is natural, even the food I grow in my backyard. Wait, not all food is something that my body will agree with. Not all food is fresh, not all food is seasonal. People don't always question those individual things, which can make a huge difference in an individual's life. So have you even tried experimenting with different foods to see how your body reacts? Because I guarantee you, you will start noticing a difference. Have you had a family member die to a disease, right? I talked about that. And would you do whatever you want in this life? Would you go around hurting people? No, because you know it wouldn't create order. It would cause chaos in the world. And if you do it to other people, you open up the possibility for it happening to yourself. So clearly, you live your life by a direction, And if you want to live your body by a certain direction, because you realize digestion happens down a certain direction and things work in the body in a certain organized way, you have to work in harmony with the body in the same way you work in harmony with the world. Okay, do you know how food affects you? Say you're sick. Are you going to eat the same food that you usually eat? Say you're pregnant. Are you going to eat the same food that you usually eat? Because I guarantee you, you're not. Let's say you're bloating or you have digestion. Clearly you ate something that you weren't supposed to eat. Everybody has had these experiences. So for people to say, I'm just going to eat whatever I want, you are just contradicting yourself if you've ever gotten sick, if you've ever had bloating or indigestion or anything like that. Because clearly you know that there's a time and place for you to recognize what foods you should eat. And you say, well, I'll only recognize it when it happens. But that's how cancer appears. People say, oh, well, this cancer appeared out of nowhere. Oh, all of a sudden I have Alzheimer's or dementia, and there's nothing I can do about it. And then they feel like they should identify with the disease. Oh, I'm a diabetic and I can't reverse it. Do you know there's people who actually reverse their diabetes? There's people who actually cure cancer at late stage. So let's not have assumptions. Let's not grasp to ignorance when we need faith in order to heal. When we need to see that every possibility is out there, it's all a matter of knowledge. It's ignorance that always holds humanity back. And this is simply one example. Okay, so people will say, whatever makes me happy, but this is ego. Right? This is ego, this is greed, this is power. That's not necessarily something that is good or moral or right. Okay, many people suppress their own conscience of what they know to be right and wrong. In the same way they suppress what they know is right to eat. They say, yeah, there's fruits and vegetables are really good for me, but I'm not going to eat them because I don't want them. And I'm rather going to eat the junk food. Now, okay, maybe they think the junk food tastes better, but maybe it's because they don't see that the healthy food is not actually the tasty healthy food. See, there's different types of healthy food, and there's definitely a huge market of healthy food which may not even be healthy food or tasty food. I can totally understand when people say, man, healthy food doesn't taste good, that's why I wouldn't eat it. I wouldn't eat something I don't think tastes good. I wouldn't eat something I don't think would make me feel good. I want something that is going to make me both feel good and taste good, right? So I don't see why that can't be for you unless, again, you don't have enough knowledge of what are those right foods for you. And that's what it comes down to. But you have a whole market of so many different products. You go to the shelves and there's a whole stinking thing of 100 different milks. How many people look at all their options? How many people read the ingredients? If you want to be one who sees things differently in a different reality and is able to treat conditions differently than other people because you see the modern medical system may be failing people, then perhaps you should start reading what other people are not reading, doing what other people are not doing, and experimenting to see what really is the magic in these products. Why do these products exist? Why do people consume them? Is it all marketing? It may be, but is there value in any of these products? Are they trying to get my attention? Or maybe I should go to the Amish. Maybe I should go to these local farmers markets where they don't even label anything at all. Maybe no label is even better than a label, right? Maybe all the certifications and the FDA approval is not actually what makes it healthy. Heart association and trans fats and all this stuff, hidden trans fats, MSG, hidden MSG. But people don't really know. It's lurking in their food in different places. So in their ignorance, they give way to evil. There's only one evil greater than evil, and that is people justifying evil. Oh, well, I've done the natural thing. It doesn't work for me. You're just going to dismiss all things natural. Oh, well, we've lived in anarchy. We've lived without government. It's not going to work. So you're going to dismiss all of nature and what nature naturally gave to us, our bodies, what it naturally gave to us. You think it's wrong. We need to vaccinate. We need to introduce all these man-made things. Where does it end? Do we have to fix everything that nature gave us? Or do we ever blame ourselves and what we did to ourselves to get us to that bad state and condition? See, people always want to jump to their assumptions because it's the only thing they know, and they don't want to see any other possible reality, yet they have information at their fingertips, the ability to research anything they want. And now there's censorship. I wonder why there's censorship. Maybe it's because there is some valuable information out there. To say, oh, well, the whole internet, don't trust what you read online, does not mean you just dismiss the whole internet. Notice a lot less people are starting to say that because they're saying, oh shoot, there's a lot of powerful stuff on the internet. I went on YouTube and I found out how to do this. I went on this video platform, I learned to do this, and I never thought I would have learned this. I don't even have to go to a college anymore. I don't have to do this anymore. Exactly, and now you see why there's not many people becoming doctors, and there's people who are successful without degrees. You have to be able to look at reality differently because everybody thinks they're right when they're actually wrong. So there's these people who think I'll eat whatever I want, when in reality, you can't just do whatever you want. With anything in this life, everything requires knowledge for every choice you make because you are a smart being. You're a conscious being with the ability to think. Are you just going to say, oh, I shouldn't think, I should just do what as I feel? Then you'll be like every other animal in nature. And you know what? You probably get ran over by a car in the same way, but you understand how the cars work because you made those cars and you made these skyscrapers and these towers, and these other animals haven't done that. You built all these religions and governments, half of them which destroy yourself and cause war with your own species, unlike other animals, but nonetheless, they're amazing creations because you can see they're built out of knowledge. Even if that knowledge is still based out of ignorance, we find out over time. We learn through time. Let's not have time teach us all our experiences and all our truth. Let us learn a little bit from awareness, per se. To do a little bit of research, to do a little bit of the soul searching, a little bit of the, I'm going to change a little bit of my diet. Little bits at a time. I'm not going to go on a diet and join another billion-dollar industry and say, I have to do this, I have to do that. I'm going to listen to my body and my own environment because only I live in this. This is the only house I truly live in, right? So it's just that important. You have to worry about other people's expenses. You might be sick, okay? You might be going through different things. You might say you want to eat whatever you want, but other people, they're going to have to deal with your sickness and what ends up of your health. You have to care about other people. If you say you care about your other people, then you should, because it's going to come back to you, like I said. It's going to come back to you one way or another, and you affect other people and other people affect you. Have you not had to deal with anyone sick in your family? Well, lucky for you. So when people make these statements like, I'll eat whatever I want, whatever makes me happy, you have to really think again. Because there's a lot of people who are not so happy with their state of health, and now they can't eat anything. And now they can't eat anything at all. I mean, there's people who are now just taking drugs, and that's all they can ever do. There's people who can barely breathe. All they have to do is sleep and rest, stay in the hospital. Do you want to be one of those people? Because I don't. And guess what? America has a long history of heart failure, sepsis, and you mix sepsis with COVID and colds and fevers and Zika and Ebola, and you end up with this mix of I don't know what I have at the end of the day. But nonetheless, if you get to the root cause of all of them, it's nutritional deficiency, it's a lack of a foundational birth of a strong gut, a strong immune system, which can really deal with anything. This is what nature provided to us. And science proves that, the immune system is actually the strongest source for natural immunity of anything, right? So people can take vaccinations and all sorts of things, but you have this natural immunity which is proven to be stronger than anything. It's even in the mainstream documents. It's a matter of knowledge for how to use it, right? There's a lot of products out there trying to get you to buy what they say, but yet here's raw kefir. Most people have never even heard of it. Tons of probiotics, more than sometimes the pills. It's funny to me, there'll be blueberry supplements. It's like 12 blueberries in one pill. You can just eat a bunch of blueberries. It's sometimes hilarious what they will market out there to people. But you are purposely choosing certain foods over other foods. When you go to a restaurant, you say, I want this food, I want that food. So clearly you're being specific. Clearly you're already making choices based on knowledge. It's just a matter of how much knowledge you are. So even if you say you eat whatever you want, you still aren't. Because you're still choosing certain foods over other foods due to certain knowledge of taste, knowledge of how you feel. You wouldn't eat something you know is going to make you feel bad. So people just make these statements without even really thinking about these statements. Okay, and you might think healthy foods are foods you should eat, you don't want to eat. Okay, just because you don't want to eat, maybe you have to reconsider that and say, maybe I should eat them, and maybe there is a tastier alternative, because there's so many different types of foods nowadays. And, it is a personal choice if somebody wants to eat a healthy food, so-called, or not. It's a choice. Everything is a choice for you personally. And you can consider this along the lines of vices, not crimes. You can do potential harm to yourself, but I still care about you and your body, and I still have to live with you. And, there's people talk about shedding and all sorts of things. People will affect other people in many more ways than they think, mentally, just through conversation, sharing their energy with other people, but also, maybe it's even urination and the water and where it spreads to other people, the air that we breathe in and what we give to each other. I mean, it's all shared as a reality. So we can't just say, well, yeah, it's a personal choice, and therefore let's just ignore the fact that it may be important for health. Like, yeah, I still want to help people with their health. I'm just not going to tell them, you must do this with your health, because I'm not you. Okay, but it doesn't mean we don't guide each other. It doesn't mean we don't help each other. And this goes for anything in this life. Okay, we shouldn't impose our will, but it doesn't mean we don't help each other. It doesn't mean there are certain things that are important. There's a reason why now there's a whole market for health foods, because that's where it led people. This is showing that the Western food, America, is not working. The food pyramid is promoting breads and grains and carbohydrates. It's not working for people. People are finding out paleo and keto and Eastern medicine is going into Western medicine because those systems were failing. They needed help. They needed balance. They needed the other side of the world. They needed to open their minds, their perspectives. And doctors today are still having to open their mind to say, yeah, natural medicine does work, or there might be a value in it, right? It's all your choice. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just saying this video. You're just watching this video, right? Don't expect me to have all the health answers for you either, but don't expect your doctor to either. Expect yourself to learn from yourself the most, if you choose to listen to it. Okay? What if you don't know, right? It's a personal choice. You want to eat certain things, but what if you don't know what you are eating? And a lot of people don't know what they're eating. They go to a restaurant, they order something, they go to even a supermarket, and they say, yeah, I want this, but they still don't really know what they're eating. A lot of them don't read the ingredient list, like I say. And if you don't know, well, do you know what disease may come your way? Do you know what problem may come your way? It's more likely you don't. And I want people to be prepared. There's a lot coming in this world, economic collapses and who knows, wars, because there's still order followers to carry out the orders. And people need to be ready in their own mind to stop evil where they can, otherwise it will get to them. You are your own bubble in this life. You can take control of your own life, and so I want you to do that. Again, the only thing worse than evil is justifying evil, and I don't want you to be the one promoting that evil in any shape or form, be it government, politics, or food, health, culture, all of it. Express yourself. Learn from all things. Do not suppress one thing or another. Do not embrace your ignorance. But embrace your ignorance only so far as to recognize you are ignorant, so you can learn more and attain forever knowledge. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Angelotti. Nature is the answer.